and welcome to another episode of Full Bar. In today's episode, I want to show you the demo using EventBridge pipes and step functions and all the things because this is awesome. So if you want to know more about this feature, I covered the whole introduction in the previous video, so you can check that one out. But in this video, I want to show you the demo. So this demo came from my personal experience. I work in gaming lots of years, and when you work with games, and I was working with mobile games in the backend, games send a lot of analytic events. And those events then get into your backend, and depending on how the SDK was, if the SDK was updated or it's an old one or whatever the SDK developer wanted to put, the events they need some sanitization in order to be able to consume by the backend. I was working there many years ago, and I will have loved pipes. Pipe will have solved a lot of issues because the idea of pipes is that it allows you to connect different event sources. So, for example, we were using Kafka and Kinesis in those companies, and pipe supports Kafka and Kinesis. So those will be like ingesting my game events from these SDKs that I have no control. And when I mean I don't have control, the developers can do whatever. Also, the customers might not update their game ever, and they might have a version from the prehistoric times sending analytics events. And they ingest all those events coming from all these different places, and then you can do filtering and enrichment and then send it to somewhere else in your backend. In this case, I will show you with EventBridge. We didn't have EventBridge when I was working in the gaming industry. We have other ways to do it, but I want to show it with EventBridge, and we will send that to a custom bus. If you have no idea what I just talked about, I recommend you to check my playlist on event buses and EventBridge. It will be easier. But let's have a summary on pipes. Get some event source provider like Kinesis, DynamoStreams, Kafka, and then input those events into another event source, in this case a target like EventBridge, and we will filter and we will enrich those events. Filter the events that we don't need. Sometimes, for example, in gaming, we have a lot of data that is being sent, and a lot of that data is not needed for our backend. There is just a lot of data that is sent to the analytics pipeline, not to the backend, and we want to enrich it. That means making all the events similar. We want to put the data that is missing in the event so everything looks even when it gets to our event bus, to our backend. We don't need to worry about the kind of events that we are getting. So let's look at that. So I showed you in the previous video how to do this on the console. So I want to show it to you with infrastructure as code because that's the only way to build cloud infrastructure. I have built this SAM project. I have separated this stack into two parts. The first one is the enrichment part because I don't want to make a huge SAM template, but you can have everything in one template. And then I have the pipes in a different template. So let's look at the pipes. So the first thing that we have in this pipe is the Kinesis stream. So I'm creating the stream in the pipe. We can just reference that Kinesis stream. Might not be the same stack, but I'm creating it. I'm just basically creating an on-demand Kinesis stream. On-demand streams were announced in the previous rebrand, and you can watch the video on that. I'll leave you the link in the description box. Then I'm creating the target, and the target is a custom event bus. This, again, you might have it already, so you can just reference it in the pipes, but I need to create it. So this is a custom event bus. Then my bus has one rule. And the rule basically says to put every event into a log group. And this is the log group where I'm writing all the events, so we can see them later. Then I have the role for the event bus that basically is putting a message into that log group. And then I have here the rule that basically matches all the events that come inside that custom bus and writes it in that log group. That's what it's doing. Then I have the pipe, and I have a dead letter queue there, just if the source has any problem, then it will put it there, but well, let's hope there is no problem. Then I have the role, and this needs to be able to get records from Kinesis and to put events into the custom bus. And because we are going to do enrichment, we will have a state machine. So this is the role. And then here I have the pipe. Let's make it bigger. So this pipe has a role, the one I just showed you. The source is the Kinesis stream. And then we are doing some filtering. I will go there in a second. And we are going to get the stream parameters. So we are batching in one by one. You can have a batch of bigger. So if you have a lot of throughput, you might need to increase this in order to be able that your downstream services can handle it. Different event services have different throughput. And if you have something like Kinesis, using Lambda, for example, you might get to your concurrency limits or things like that. So you need to have a lot of those things in mind when you're using this service. Here is the target. That is the custom event bus that we created previously. Here's the state machine for enrichment. And these are the enrichment parameters that we are going to pass. So let's check this in the console so you can understand more what I built. So this is the pipe. We can see this is already deployed, Kinesis to EventBridge. And you can see here the source is that Kinesis stream. And here we can have the source parameters, the batch, the dead letter queue, and the starting position. And you can click everywhere. And then we have the filtering. I said that we want to do some filter. And here basically every item in Kinesis that has the word filter in the type, we can put whatever, here is an array, will get filter and will pass through. If it doesn't have the word filter, it will not pass through. And one thing to have in mind here that is really handy with pipes is that Kinesis streams data payload is encoded, it's base64 encoded, but the filtering mechanism can access that encoding and can read from it. So if we put here type filter, it doesn't matter that the Kinesis payload is encoded, this will happen anyway. So here we can see the enrichment, and the enrichment is using the step function. And here what I'm doing is basically just passing to the step functions the data, the encoded thing, that because I'm passing it like this, it will get decoded. So I don't need to do that, the codification manually anywhere. It just happens. So basically my first step in my state machine will get the data in a decoded way so I can start using it. And then my target is this event bus that is here, and this event bus has one rule, so I can open it and I can go to rules and I can go here, and it has this rule that basically is matching everything and putting it in a log group. So let's see this in action, and then I can show you a little bit of the state machines. I have some logs here from my testing, but let's test this. To test, I'm using my friend, Amazon Kinesis Data Generator. I use this a lot. So if you want to know more, I leave you the link to access it, and I use it to test Kinesis all the time with this. I'm using Ireland and I have my stream here. I will send one event per second. And here I defined 3 different kinds of events. The first one is an event that should not pass. So here it has the type no. The only ones that will pass is the filter. So I have iPhone and Android here has the filter, and I will put device type no. So if I start sending, we should not see them anywhere. I'm at 4 o'clock now, so nothing is happening and nothing will. So then I have the iPhone ones, and the iPhone have the type filter, and it has a device type, and it has a user ID here. So I can start sending this data, and we will see what happens. So let's start refreshing. So here the events are appearing. I will stop my Kinesis because I don't want to send million events, but we have some. And if we open one, we should be able to see here is the filter, device type, iPhone, and then we can see some of the envelope information from the event. But because we said that we only want to pass that data, everything from Kinesis got filtered. So that's good. So this happens here when we are doing the enrichment. And then I have Android phones here, and then the Android are sending the device type Android, and then instead of sending the user ID, they send the device ID. Because this is an old SDK, the customer has not updated. It's a little different, these events. But we want to get the user ID because that's the new way of doing this thing. So let's send the data and see how my events look. So let's send some events and let's refresh this thing. So I think this one should be the new events. Yes, here you have it. Stop. So you can see here that the data has the device type Android, the filter, the device ID, and the user ID. How that happened? That happens with the enrichment. So I can show you that now. So we said here that we have this enrichment and we have a state machine. So the state machine is also defined here. I put it as a separate stack because it's easier, but you can put it all together. You need to provide the ARN of this stack that is in the outputs to deploy the other stack. So it's one of the parameters. And here we have a Dynamo table that has this device information. You should have that in machine in the case, but this has basically device ID and maps to a user ID. And then it has a state machine here that does a few things. So we can check the state machine. Oh, yeah, it has a map, so we cannot see it here. Let's go to the definition here and we can see what happens. So this one has a map. And it's not one of those distributed map, it's just a normal map that can execute for 40 parallel executions. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this distributed map, you should go and check the new launch from Step Functions that I took a couple of weeks ago, the distributed map, but not here. And basically this has a map. So because Kinesis, we can batch them. Here I have one, but imagine that I have 100. You need to make sure that your distributed map can handle it. So load testing is very important, but yeah, so here we'll process each of those Kinesis records in parallel. And then it has a choice, and basically here we are defining if the device type is Android. If it's Android, then I'm going to get that user information, and if it's not, then I will just pass that, it's good. So the get user information, what it does, it gets an item from a Dynamo table, and it gets that user ID based on the device ID. So we have a table in Dynamo here. It has only one, but imagine you will have millions that has the device ID and the user ID. And then we are getting that. And then I have a state called clean output. And I'm basically making sure that the output parameters has the same format, the device, the type, and everything is in the same naming and in the same place. So then all the events look the same and they can be processed by my backend. So that's very important. So we can see this in action. So we have the executions. And we can see one execution, for example, one of the last ones. Here you can see it has only one iteration because I'm batching by one, but if I will have a bigger batch, then it will be more iterations. You can see the input, the filter, the Android, and this is the input from Kinesis that it's only showing that because that's what we filter and it's decoded. So we like that. And then basically we get to choice. This is an Android, so it will go through here. And then we can see that we are fetching that information from the table. And these are the results. And then basically this is the output from this one. And you can see that it looks not very good. And then I'm just cleaning a little bit the outputs and formatting this. And that's what I'm returning at the end. And that's what is getting at the end in the event bus. So that's the video for today. I hope you liked it. I have all the code available for you. You can get it from the description box, deploy it, you can test it. Let me know if you like this feature. I'm thinking about making a more in-depth tutorial with the step functions. Let me know if that's something that is interesting for you or you want more about EventBridge, let me know. And if you want to know more about the launches of this year, this is the playlist that you can go and learn everything about the launches. I have been making a lot of videos around it and more are coming. And in this video I leave you here is the introduction for the pipes, so if you want to go and watch it and learn more in detail what has happened, you can go and check it out. And with that, I see you in the next episode of Full Bar. Ciao ciao!